It's the Jake and Ben Show. 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 Oh.
3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Jake and Ben Show. And I'm Jake, and I'm here with Ben, as always.
You know, that was a very seductive countdown.
Was it? Ooh, I might keep it in
Yeah.
that. I'm not going to cut that. I'm going to keep
You
it.
should. Yeah, that was very seductive.
Perfect.
Didn't know if I should be aroused or if I should be scared.
Probably aroused.
Ooh. Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, guess
Okay.
what? I think we should mention something off the top because we did something. Was it on the weekend? Was it the weekday? I don't know. I've lost track of the days.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. We did
It's
something.
one of those. Yeah, we did something. We did a couple of reviews. We did Black Klansman in 8th grade. And you might say, hey, 8th grade, well, it's been out for a while, but you know what? You know, we did the Black Klansman one. We were going and we're like, you know what? Let's do 8th grade. So start off with saying, we did that. Check it out. Give us a like.
Yes.
Tell us what you liked about it, what you didn't.
Yes.
And what we could do better. Yeah.
I was happy with them. I like that review style that we're doing. You know, just a little shy of 10 minutes kind of thing. We got that nice little setup. It sounds pretty good. Especially those last two. I thought they were good.
Yeah.
Before we work out the
well,
kinks of our our on-screen personalities, we'll
you
smooth it out.
pointed out a tick of mine in the 8th grade one where I was touching my leg a lot. Was
a
I?
lot. Yeah, you're rubbing your
lot,
thighs
wow.
back and forth a lot. You know,
Oh
that
my
kind of
goodness.
like rocking thing because
Yeah.
the mic was down there, so you get a little bit of a. I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah,
It's me
it was-
rubbing my
oof.
pants, but you get a little bit of that throughout the.
Well, now that I'm aware of that won't happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware it's not going to happen. I don't know why I did that. I can't think of a reason why. I didn't do that in the Black Klansman.
No, I don't
right?
think so. I think you just.
So where did that come
I don't know.
from?
You just maybe did it once on accident, realized it felt good. I don't know.
Wow,
Just kept
yeah.
going.
Who knows? Yeah, maybe I didn't stretch that morning. I wanted to loosen up the thighs. All right.
Maybe.
Well, anyways,
Do you
know
stretch
what?
every morning? Like, do you go out of your way to stretch in the morning?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Really?
Yeah. I can get into this real quick, but I was somebody who never used to stretch, and then about 5 years ago, I started Taekwondo through met a friend in high school. Well, I met a guy in high school, became a friend who happened to be an instructor for it, and I started doing that, and just let stretching evolve, and then I realized, wow, stretching actually feels good. So I decided I'm going to stretch every morning and every night. Now, some days I miss, but for the most part, every morning, every night, it's a great feeling.
And you feel good throughout the day? Even better when you
Hell
stretch?
yeah.
Oh,
Hell
wow.
yeah.
I didn't
If I
think
don't
of that.
stretch in the morning and I just get going, I get such cramps and pains. It's
Interesting.
very sharp pains.
I
It's
wonder
no
if
fun.
like those pains would have happened if you never started stretching to begin with. Is it one of those things where like you
It might
stretched
be.
once, now you have to, like your body just has to do it? I don't know. Interesting. Wow.
It might be because I've been going through this thing with my leg that like it buckles. Like, you know how people have to crack their back?
Yeah.
That's like with my my leg now. I have to, if I don't stretch, it tightens up and then I have to crack it.
Damn.
So
Interesting.
maybe yeah, it's from
Huh.
Well,
I should stretch
yeah,
a little more. I got a
wow.
bad back, so I don't know. I go to the chiropractor sometimes, but other times I'm like, is it really helping or is it just making matters worse where I'm going to have to go to the chiropractor like once a week for the rest of my life? So I
If
don't
you
know.
just do that and don't stretch, maybe you're making things worse. I would
Yeah.
recommend stretching every day.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I'll consider it. Maybe I'll give an update in the next few podcasts. We'll see.
Yeah, there we go.
All
Well,
right.
you know what?
What?
So I wanted to talk about some box office stuff, and one of which you might think is old news, but it's Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now hear me out. Why I say that is that it opened up like a month ago, about a month and a half ago, and it did all right domestically and overseas. It didn't open up in all of its markets for various reasons, and finally opened up in China. Why I want to talk about this because you had debate of did it do well, was it not okay, and from the standard it did well. It was at like the mid 400 million range. It did fine. If you look at the MCU, it's not great. Now, why I wasn't somebody who panicked, I was like, listen, you gotta wait till it opens up in China because that's a huge market. It made a ton. The first Ant-Man made a ton in China, so you have to really wait to judge. It came out this opening last weekend and it made about 66 million, and it pushed it over to be higher than the first Ant-Man, which is now sitting at 545 million. Now, that is a very good number if you're, any other franchise or movie. Well, maybe movie. It's still in the low range of the MCU, but it will definitely climb now that it's opened up in China, so I figured I would shout that out. It has done well. You hear these numbers, do you even care, or you just, let's get on to Captain Marvel and Avengers 4?
I think I don't really care, but totally respectfully to you. It's like, yeah. I thought, I wasn't really following this. MCU box office stuff doesn't really excite me because I just always expect them to do well and make a lot of money. And like, it's profited, so they're happy, period, I think. I don't think they didn't expect this to be a $2 billion movie or like anything like
not
that.
At all.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which these are two characters that, you can look at something like Guardians of the Galaxy and say, well, hey, nobody knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy was. Well, that's a great movie. I would say none of these Ant-Man movies even match up to that. However, if you're somebody who thinks it does, Ant-Man was a character nobody knew. And a lot of these characters nobody knew. And then the Wasp, nobody really knew. So I think this is it's done very well for these characters.
Definitely.
Now, you know what I want to talk about mostly for box office is Crazy Rich Asians. It's a movie. It's going into its third weekend now. Okay, opening weekend, it made 26 million, a little over 26 million. Overperformed from what they were expecting. And then the second weekend, which I thought was crazy, it took a 6.4% drop. Now, if that's crazy for any movie, there's always a significant drop into its second weekend. And it made 24 million in its second weekend. You hear that, what does that do for you?
Wow. It's crazy. It's rich.
It's definitely crazy rich.
Yeah. I heard this news when it came out, and I was just impressed. I haven't seen this movie yet, but I think it just speaks that there is a market for this type of movie. It's definitely good news. It's pretty crazy that it pretty much dropped almost nothing. It's just like same amount of people saw the second weekend as they did the first, which is like unheard of. Last like crazy thing I can remember is when Avatar made more its second weekend, I believe. Of course, it's gonna make more, but it's still up there with like holy shit. And you're the box office guy, so I imagine that this really excites you.
It did. It got me charged up. It did. I was very. You know what even gets me more, charged up, is reading about what it's going to do in its third week. And now, taking consideration, it's going to be a 3-day the count. It's Labor Day, so it'll be a long weekend. Even still, it's leaning towards making 30 million in its third weekend. Which, you take in consideration the third day, but 30 million in its second weekend. That's crazy. That means the audience that's seen it from the first week until now, it's still going.
Yeah.
Which I think is, I think it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I think it's crazy.
Yeah, it's not like it opened up to 200 million and now it dropped. Even then, 26 to 24 to 30, that's wow. That is wow. And this movie, it is a good movie. It is a very good movie. I would like to talk about it more sometime, but I'll wait till you see it for us to talk about it more.
Hold on.
I think it is very...
To cut you off, I think I just misunderstood something. 26 to 24, that's $1 million each week, right? Did you say, did you say 30 after that?
30 million in its third weekend. However, it is Labor Day.
Yeah.
So you have the extra day. So it is a long
that
weekend.
Doesn't count. That I think you only count the 2 days for even.
Well, even then, if you just count the 2 days, it's still going to make a lot of money. You're going to be looking at around maybe 20 million in its third weekend. So you're still having a tiny drop.
Yeah. I think the 30 is misleading. I never liked the long weekend numbers for box office. I think it's not apples to apples. It's like comparing, worldwide releases kind of thing, where that's not apples to apples either. That stuff is like, because you say 30, I'm like, oh shit, but it's not really an oh shit. It is like that's crazy.
I still think it's an oh shit because it's only 1 day extra you're counting.
Sure, but it's one
give or
day,
take, you're
which
making
is like 33%,
to 5 million,
isn't it? Like you got you're comparing 3 days to 2 days. That's a 33% increase. So another, if you think like one day in like I know a week or in a month or something, it's a little less, but one day in out of 3 days, that's 1/3. So like it's still crazy, and they're still rich, and believe it or not, they're still Asian. So look, they're hitting everything. It is crazy nonetheless, but like.
And this movie, it's getting a sequel. They're working out.
Really?
The details.
It's based on a book, though, right?
Yeah, and I think there were 3 books.
Oh shit! Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
they got a whole little trilogy they can work with.
Yeah, yes, they do. But you know what?
What's up?
Listen, talked about some box office. I want to talk about some trailers. There's a movie coming out in 2 weeks. It's called The Predator. We've talked about this a bit. I love the first Predator. I don't really talk about the other ones. I like that Predators one with Adrian Brody. I believe that's his name.
Yeah.
It was okay, but still, it wasn't like the first one. I watched this trailer. You watched this trailer. You're somebody. Have you seen the Predator?
No, I haven't seen any of them.
Okay, you haven't seen any of them. You watched this trailer. We've talked about. I wasn't that excited for it. I want to beat Shane Black. He was in the first one. I love most of his movies, if not all. I couldn't get into any of the trailers beforehand. Did this trailer get you hooked?
You know what? I'm gonna say it didn't get me hooked, but it's definitely got my interest, and I'm willing to take a bet that, having not seen any Predators, any other Predator movies, I'm just spitballing here, but I'm willing to take a bet that this trailer for Predator fans is not exciting. I'm just guessing. I feel like this, having not seen the other ones, I'm guessing this is a completely different spin on it. Maybe. You can tell me if I'm wrong or not after, because I am curious your thoughts. I am not really sure how you feel about this specific trailer. There was some stuff I wish I didn't see. Just, trailers, they can show a lot, and there was some stuff I didn't want to see, like, a bunch of people dying and those doggos, whatever they're doing with the doggos. But I think it looks good enough. I'm excited to see this cast of characters together. I thought like the stuff with them on the bus, I thought looked fun. It's a really, really talented cast. I think it's a unique cast too. Shane Black is an inspired choice to direct a movie like this. So what are your thoughts, Ben? I want to know if I'm right or if I'm an idiot.
I still don't know what to think of this movie. I didn't like any of the trailers beforehand. I thought it just wasn't. The ones beforehand just weren't hitting the Predator tone I was hoping for. And from when Shane Black originally was doing this, he was saying, all right, I'm going to take it back to classic Predator. And this is supposed to be the sequel to the first one. Kind of like how Halloween and a few movies are doing. And I don't know, even with this one, I still don't know what to make of it. I'm not that excited for it. I'm excited because it's the Predator. I hope it's good. I hope I like it. But from the stuff I'm seeing, I don't really care now. The thing in this trailer, like you mentioned, the bus, that gives me some Predator vibes. I like that. I want to see more of that.
Okay.
But then we go into this. Now we got the Predator on steroids.
Yes.
And we got these dogs.
Yes. I was curious.
For me already, the Predator on steroids, I was starting to be like, okay, we're just getting a bigger Predator because. The first one, it's not strong enough. Let's
such a sequel cliche too. Just make it bigger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the dogs, I can't get into the dogs. Okay, I hope they don't have a big part. I really don't like them. Because I was hoping we just get classic Predator. We're in a forest. We got this Predator that's hunting this team down one by one. They don't know what to do. And hey, maybe that's too much like the first one, but I just want to see that because I want the feel of the first Predator. So which, the Predators, I think, tried to do. And for the most part, I think did it okay. I mean, not great, but okay. The Predators didn't have that team dynamic, which this one looks like it might have. At least, shades of it. I hope it sticks the landing. Like, I've, heard some other Predator fans say, "Oh, this is the perfect trailer for Predator fans." But then I've seen other people say, "Yeah, I still don't even know what to make of this." I'm in that camp where I don't know what to make of it. If I'm gonna say something I really liked in this trailer, there's a shot of this Predator and he's just stabbing this guy, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's towards the end. He's punching him in the gut. That right there, I want to see that, and I want to see the dynamic of the team in the bus. I want to see less of the dynamic when they're in whatever facility they're in. Sterling K. Brown, I love him. I love him in This Is Us and most of the stuff he's in. I didn't know what to make of him in the first few trailers, just being the guy who's, chewing on gum and swearing. I like him. I like him a lot more in this trailer.
Yeah, I thought he looked good. Yeah,
we see more of that. He has the feel of the first Predator, and I hope it's good. So like, I don't know what to make of it. I don't hate this trailer. I don't love it. I would say I think this one I would have liked the best if it wasn't for the dogs. Get rid of the dogs. This would be my favorite trailer so far.
Okay. Yeah. It also it feels a lot different than those other trailers for sure. I don't know how you feel about that, but like especially the way it started.
Well, you know what? Let me shoot something at you. Let me throw something at you.
Throw it at me. Shoot it at me.
This movie is going to be around an hour and 40 now. Okay. Maybe a little over. They cut out about a half an hour of the film. There was a character that got entirely cut out. What that character was, I don't know. I think the studio had issues with it being, either too funny. There was an issue between Shane Black and the studio for whatever reason. And they had to cut the movie down to about an hour and 40. There was a half an hour there. I wonder what that's going to be like. If it's going to feel like a big chunk got cut out, or if he was just trying to pack too much in here. I'll probably read more into that of what led up to that once we see it, and depending if I like it or not, and if it feels like something is missing. But I'm not sure if that is something worth noting.
Yeah, well, I mean, like cutting out like a big chunk of a movie, like half an hour, isn't necessarily like it's nothing new or unique. It happens to other movies, but maybe you don't hear about it, so you don't think to look for it. So I wonder if A, you will notice it, and B, that you would have noticed it had you not known that it even happened in the first place,
Yeah.
But I think half an hour shorter is helpful for its box office success. I think for sure.
Give me a Predator movie. An hour and 40 sounds about right. Yeah. I'm not trying to be.
It's a good time.
It shouldn't be world changing. I'm not trying to learn something from this. I want to see the Predator hunt down at this team and kill them all, pretty much. I wonder if Arnold will make a cameo, because Shane Black wanted to. Apparently, Arnold said, no, I wanted more from... This isn't confirmed stuff, but things you hear that it would have been more of a cameo to set up a sequel. Yeah, I wonder if, because there has been much from before they started shooting of the talk of Arnold having a cameo. I would like to see it. I still happen to believe Arnold of him not wanting to do it because it was too small for him. But I would like to see it.
What do you mean?
I don't want to see
for him, like too small of a part.
Well, yeah, because
yeah.
This was a few years ago. I believe that this came out of him wanting a bigger part, and that this was mostly just setting up a sequel. Now that could be wrong. I may have my facts messed up there. It's not even fact. It's just things you hear. But you know what? You know who we didn't see in this trailer? At least I don't think we did that. The kid, Jacob Tremblay.
Right.
I did not like his character in the first trailer because I just didn't like the aspect of he found a box and he pressed a button and now the Predator is coming to fuck shit up. That I thought was really ridiculous, and I remember when we talked about that, you read the synopsis and that was in the synopsis. We didn't see him in this trailer. Do you think he was a part of the cutout?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Wow. Maybe that would make you happy. I see. I didn't.
Oh, that would make me very happy.
I didn't mind
I don't want to.
I didn't mind that.
That just gets me too angry. That the reason these predators now and predator dogs are here is because this kid found a box in his basement or attic, and he's starting to play with toys, and now they're showing up.
I think that's kind of crazy. Like, just this one little kid.
Hey, maybe it would work.
Global consequences. It's kind of terrifying.
Maybe it would work in the movie. I can't judge it because I haven't seen it if it's still there. But in the trailer, it didn't.
Okay.
It got me charged up in a bad way. But anyway, you know what? We talked about the Predator for enough.
Yeah.
Enough. Let's move on already. We're going to have a quick, let's say like a Star Wars segment. We're going to talk about some Star Wars stuff.
Wow, we're not doing the other trailers?
You know what? I want to get back to those. I want to talk about this real quick.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to get to this because we talked about some stuff, and stuff we talked about we may have heard more of. And when I say we talked about this, we talked about it on our own. And I want to hear more of your thoughts, because when we talked about it, it was mostly me talking and you listening. So, Star Wars Episode 9, it did some casting. They've added Matt Smith in what apparently is a key role, and they've added Dominic Monaghan. Now, he's a JJ, one of JJ's pals, and also Greg Gunberg is going to come back as Snap Wexley. So, just starting off with that, these casting, like, which one stands out the most for you? And let's remove Greg Gunberg, because to me that was just a given, because it's a JJ guy. Out of these two guys, what stands out to you?
Matt Smith, I think, is the most exciting one. Honestly, I'm kind of lukewarm on both of it, just because I'm not too familiar with either of them. I think I know the most about Matt Smith. I know the other one is in Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or whatever, but I can't put his character's face to his face. I'm just like that. I screwed up. Okay, I don't know. But, the Matt Smith casting, it's unique. It doesn't really get me too excited about this. I mean, like, I think back to, like, episode 8 with Benicio del Toro being casted. Like, that was something. That was a side character that I was really excited about because, Benicio del Toro. But Matt Smith and this Monaghan guy, doesn't do much for me. Sorry if you're a big fan of either of them, but, like, it's not a bad thing either. I'm not upset. I'm not like, oh shit, they casted like Nicolas Cage as Rey. It's not like that kind of thing, but
whoa. Oh. Okay. Let me ask you some questions here.
Let's hear
it. We are in the final movie of, this trilogy, episode 9.
Right.
And from when JJ came onto this and when him and Chris Terrio were writing, what was said was, and I would like to say that, like, a lot of people run with this. However, I haven't heard it from JJ himself. Where it first came from was JJ was at like a bar restaurant. Some guy asked him a question, and this is what he said to him. This is where it came from, was that JJ Abrams wants to, combine prequel trilogy, original trilogy, and make it a whole, just combine it all. It's going to be all one. Now, I would like that. However, at the same time, I haven't heard JJ come out and say, in this trilogy, I'm going to wrap up, like how it says in the in their press release they put out, like the final installment of the Skywalker saga. Now, maybe that goes on to, okay, he's going to try to bring things together from the prequels and OT, which you already have OT. I still haven't heard him say that himself. This is a big cast, huge cast already, because we have the new additions of Keri Russell, Richard E. Grant, and there was another one. I forget her name. And now you got these two. And there was also casting rumors for another character. So they're looking to add someone else. We also have Lando coming back. And we have the core characters. Are we getting too big here if we want to wrap everything up? Or is it just like how you said? I'll even take it back to The Force Awakens when guys from the raid were cast in there and they were in there for, like a minute or two?
Right,
Do you think some of these casting choices are like that and we're not too big?
Yeah.
Or you think we're getting bloated?
I don't think we're getting bloated for sure, because we don't know to the extent of what these characters are that these actors are playing. So I wouldn't get too worried at all that they're getting bloated. You can just look at like another big film and just, like an MCU movie or whatever, and start naming off all the A-list actors or the B-list, and you'll start to get a big list. You're like, shit, is this bloated? But no, you see it done in bigger movies like that, and it works fine. I wouldn't think it's something to be worried about at all. Like you mentioned, the raid cast that came in for The Force Awakens, they were in there for like 4 minutes. So it could be something like that, and I don't think it's something to get worried about at all. I think it should be something to be excited about.
What gets me excited was, and this is nothing, however, I guess we could say a spoiler alert if you don't want to know anything at all, was there were set photos that came out, and there were a first pair of set photos of what looked like the Millennium Falcon on Forest Planet, and there was a whole, what is this planet? Now, that didn't get me excited. I didn't care about that. There were set photos that came out of Poe Dameron, Finn, Chewbacca, doing absolutely nothing. And it got me so excited because I don't want to know anything. However, I still like to see stuff. Seeing that got me really excited. Seeing those three together, mostly the two together. And it also led to what I said to you is when they put out a picture, when they announced production, when JJ did, it was an out of focus picture, but you could see Finn, you could see Chewie, and there was a shoulder that was, a co-pilot to the Falcon. And I was surprised that a lot of people thought that, oh, that's Rey in the Falcon. To me, it didn't look anything like Rey just because the shoulders were so broad. And to me, I thought it was Poe. And seeing these set photos make me think that absolutely was Poe just because of what he's wearing. Seeing these photos just got me really excited, just knowing it's on the way, it's coming. And I can't wait for this movie. I can't wait. I know these set photos are absolutely nothing, but did they do anything at all for you?
Not really. I find this episode is a lot of me going, yeah, it exists, but I'm not too angry at anything right now. I'm not too excited about anything. It's just more of the same for this one. I like seeing these newer Star Wars movies being made. Like, I think it makes it real. Like, I think this is kind of loses it a bit since it's the third one. Like, when this kind of stuff was happening for The Force Awakens, when like any nugget of news was exciting. I know they were also like, if I remember correctly, The Force Awakens was a lot more secretive than Episode 9 or even Episode 8. Yeah, but maybe that's just because I was so excited for that and it was the new Star Wars. Anyways,
set photos for 7. It really threw me. I think threw a lot of people off if you followed these set photos. There was a set photo on the Resistance base on Dakar, and there was a photo of this guy getting into, I think it was an X-Wing. Looked exactly like Adam Driver. This was before we knew him as Kylo Ren, what he was doing. This picture looked exactly like Adam Driver, so you're thinking, well, hey, look, it looks like he must be a good guy then. And then you see the movie. I don't know if they just took a picture to throw people off, or even if it wasn't Adam Driver, it was just some guy that looked like him. So set photos, you can't get too ahead of yourself because you may never even see it in a movie and you don't know what context it is. But that's why I like these, because it's not showing me something that's, whoa, that could be something. It's more just they're filming and I know absolutely nothing of what they're doing.
Yeah. What just came to my mind was I was just thinking, what I think is kind of interesting about Episode 9 is I want to see how the internet responds to a trailer or, something public that they have a message board they can express their feelings on, or a dislike ratio on a trailer. I want to see if that Episode 8 backlash affects Episode 9 or if people aren't going to give a shit. And, this just reminds me, did you see Kelly Marie Tran? That's her name, Kelly Marie Tran. Yeah. Her...
Or Lowen.
Yes.
Lowen.
Yes. Her response, so I guess you have seen it coming back to social media?
Yes, I have.
I thought it was pretty badass.
Well, it was a while ago. It was like a few weeks ago this came out, right?
Yeah. It's not.
Yeah, she had like an editorial piece, and she wrote, just about her experience of why she left social media and a lot of the hate that she was getting, and she was starting to believe it. I think just like it was badass of what she put out.
Yeah, her response was fucking sick.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah,
it's very good. And
she handled
what you'd want to
so
see,
well.
Especially in the light of Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar Binks. He came out. He's like doing his own like vlogs and stuff, and like he's writing a book. He revealed that he contemplated committing suicide, and in this photo he posted with his son, and he went to this place where he was going to commit suicide, and he posted this picture and put out his story just of all the hate he got, and it just makes you think of like being a fan. And this is it's a big thing to get into, but like you mentioned, backlash of Episode 8, Kelly Marie Tran. If you look at this stuff with Ahmed Best, is that Ahmed Best, Kelly Marie Tran, or Lowen, they are actors. They come in, they do their job, and they do what they're asked. Ahmed Best for Jar Jar, he did what was asked of him from George Lucas, and what Kelly did, she did what Ryan asked. And I don't like Jar Jar now. I'm not going to say I like him because of this, but I don't like the character of Jar Jar. I like Ahmed Best. And hey, I like Rose. I do. I think she was a fine character. I actually really like her. I thought she was a delight.
Me too.
Did she have a lot to do? No, she didn't. But I thought she was a delight. She represented what most of us would be inside that universe. And I like Kelly Marie Tran also. I think she's an awesome person, especially reading this. And I'll throw it back to you because just this whole topic can even lead into one of the other things I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, no, I think this is an important topic, and I'm not sure if we're gonna have anything new to say that someone else hasn't said, but I think even echoing someone else's sentiments, whether intentional or not, is important. Like, look, there's a certain thickness of skin you need to have to be an artist in the first place. Like, if you're gonna put your work out there, you have to be able to accept criticism, and that's one thing. That's one thing for sure. And look, you cannot like Kelly as I don't why do I call her fucking Kelly? We're not on a first name basis. We're not friends, but you know. Kelly Marie Tran, you cannot like her as a performer. You can think she's bad, and you can critique that all you want. But to take it to the next level where the attacks become personal and almost like even if you're gonna make it like a race thing, like this is just a whole other fucking ballpark that is so beyond just film fandom or film criticism as a whole that it's just disgusting. And I think you can be in the camp of I don't think she's a talented actress at all. And, you know, I don't like her character and I don't like her performance. And that's fine. And because people do that all the time. People critique writers, directors, actors all the time. It's just a thing that exists. And, you know, it's fine because they're putting themselves out there. They understand, for the most part, they understand that there could be criticisms of them and not everyone's going to like their art. But to the point of, like, personal attacks, that's... no matter who it is, no matter what they're creating, when it gets personal, it's just disgusting, and you just sound like a fucking moron because that's just a whole other ballpark. I don't know if I'm explaining my point well enough.
Yeah, I know what you're saying here, and if as soon the moment you put out art or put yourself out there, it's open to interpretation. And film, any art, it's all subjective. I could like it, you may not. A lot of people don't understand that. They may think, "Oh, I dislike this. Everybody dislikes it. If they don't, I'm gonna make them." But it just as like you said, like when John Boyega in the first trailer for The Force Awakens, when he's revealed, there was like an uproar of, oh my god, there's a black stormtrooper, what's going on in Star Wars? And it's just this, you know,
how often did you ever see the color of like the color of the skin of the stormtroopers?
Yeah, it's really dumb. And even like we reviewed Black Klansman, and that's the reason why I think that movie is you know, it's topical for today's time. It's that racism. And you may just say, hey, listen, I just dislike Rose, and I don't think Kelly Marie Tran is a good performer. Why do you got to take it there? Well, it's because a lot of people have. If you were, when she was active on Instagram, which she didn't delete her account, she just deleted her posts. When you read the comments, yeah, there was a lot of racism she received of her being the first lead Asian in Star Wars. John Boyega got a lot of it. Now, for the most part, I think fans love him and they've gotten behind him. But you see this stuff, whether it be set, you know, just people are sexist, racist. There's, like you said, you can critique someone for the performance they put out, but the moment you make it personal, it's just you got to check yourself out the door. Does it really impact you that much? Because as much as I love talking about film, like we're doing now, or review stuff, I don't take it to the point when if I hate something that I'm going to attack them personally. I dislike a lot of the decisions George did in the prequels. However, I still love George for who he is, and I respect the decisions he made. I'm not going to say, George, he's a fucking idiot for doing this, doing that. I fucking hate him. This fucking slob. Why am I going there? Why do I, like, I don't have enough energy to put it in there. So these people, see, it's not even to want to attack them, but it's like they have nothing better to do but just personally attack these people. It's fine if you want to say, hey, I didn't like the performance, I didn't like the character. Go ahead. I just talked about The Predator of how right now I'm not liking anything I've seen of it. Like there's some stuff I do, but when I say that, I'm not attacking Shane Black as an artist. I'm just saying what I'm seeing, I'm not responding to it. It's not getting me going. But it's a huge topic. I'll pass it back to you because this also lends into something I want to talk about.
Okay, yeah. I'm curious what the other thing you want to talk about is. I don't know if we've mentioned that in our rundown ahead of time. But yeah, I enjoy talking about this type of thing when it gets a little more serious and almost goes beyond just movies. It's important to talk about and it's important to hear people's opinions. But like, Man, it's depressing and it's super sad. I don't know, like it's got to be the vocal minority at this point, like, and like it's sad that like these individuals are like it's incredibly sad that should I say sad one more time? Take a shot every time I say sad.
Yeah.
It's just like, I got
you should say sad. Just say it one more time. Say it one more time.
Sad. If I whisper and go really close to the mic, is it very intimate? Should I do the rest of the podcast?
Please don't go into the whole ASMR thing. I recently discovered what ASMR is.
Oh,
it's
really?
It's the creepiest thing of all time.
You don't like it? Here, what do I have around me that I can do? I'm just going to do the rest of the podcast like this. So if you're listening at nighttime with your headphones in, just close your eyes. Fall back asleep.
It is. Ooh. It's very creepy.
It's sad. Everything is sad.
Have you seen a video for ASMR?
Yes, I have.
We'll get back into this.
I have.
I seen one. First, I heard one of Gal Gadot, and then I seen Melissa Benoist, who plays Supergirl, did one. I forget for what magazine it was for. I mean, I say magazine. How do you see video in a magazine? But they have their websites. And I seen her do one, and I'm sure they brought it up to her and said, "Hey, could you do this? It's for this cause." And of course, she went along with it because she's awesome. But I felt so bad for her. And maybe she was fine doing it, but it was so creepy. And then with Gal Gadot, she took out food and starts eating it.
Oh yeah,
and that's something I don't get. I seen a video with Jimmy Kimmel. He did a thing with kids that watch ASMR videos, and they're saying how it's it's soothing for them.
Yeah,
and they
some
get
people
this
find it
tingling
relaxing.
Feeling. I get so creeped out by it.
No.
I find I get so uneasy.
Dude, I got
especially.
This thing. Oh, sorry. No, you keep going.
Going. Okay. I was gonna say, because with people can take the the most innocent thing and make it creepy, and then you hear the porno versions of ASMR, which are even more creepy. It's ASMR. I didn't know it was a thing until about 3 weeks ago, and I wish I didn't know it was a thing.
I don't think ASMR is inherently sexual or a thing to get off to. I don't think that's where it comes from. I know a lot of people use it to sleep and find it relaxing, and it's soothing to them no matter what type of ASMR it is, people eating and whatnot. I got this thing, I don't know what it's called, but people's chewing, people's breathing fucking gets right under my skin. There's a name for it, and it's not an uncommon thing.
You know what it is? It's disgusting. That's what it's called.
It doesn't
Hearing
even gross
people
me
eat
out.
food
It
is
doesn't
disgusting.
gross me out. That's the weird thing. I don't think it's gross. I just think it makes my blood boil. I get legitimately angry. And the closer this person is to me, a loved one, and I hear it makes me more angry. It's very bizarre. I know it's a thing. I Googled it. It's a thing. I'm not fucking psycho. Other people have it. But if someone's breathing near me, or someone goes after drinking a sip of coffee, or it's not I'm ooh, that's gross, or that's an annoying sound. It's oh, I'm fucking mad. I want to, and it's weird. I'm sure other people have it. I'm sure anyways, ASMR, it's weird because that shit relaxes people. It makes me fucking psycho.
I don't get it.
I don't. Yeah. It's nuts. Anyways,
it's unsettling.
But
back to the important conversation.
Let's do it.
Yes, sad. we were talking about sad. I feel where did you last leave off? Because we were having a good important discussion.
Yeah. I was just talking you got to have some serious personal issues if you are that personally offended by by something you like that you have to make it personal. I don't know how I want to describe it. I'm trying to think something that other people haven't told you a million times. This is a thing that's talked about a lot, and I don't think I'm saying anything new. I thought I may have had something new to say. It's just it's kind of overwhelming to me. I'm overwhelmed with thoughts on it just because I'm kind of flabbergasted by the whole situation. It's just bizarre to me. Of course there's racist people and sexist people and all that, and it's terrible, but it's just bizarre to me that people react this way because it's a movie they enjoy. It's weird. Is it not very bizarre?
I don't even know if I would call these people fans that care like this, because how can you be a fan but be so hateful to the thing you love?
It's weird. Yeah,
it's not even weird. Going into the thing of debate of Last Jedi, but if you love something so much, Star Wars Resistance, it's a new animated TV show coming out. It's going to be on Disney Channel. That is a show that when you hear Dave Filoni talk about it, which he more had the idea, he passed it off to other people, but said, we want to make a show for kids. Now, Star Wars, when George talks about it, it was always intended for 12-year-olds. That's when I got into it, much younger than 12, but I was a kid when I got into it, and I still hold a love for it. It's become generational now when a kid, like a grandfather, can go take their, grandson, granddaughter, go see this movie, or any Star Wars movie, and they could all enjoy it. Yeah, it's become generational. But within that, like, the thing I feel we get also lost in is that there was a huge, like, uproar that was really silly from supposed Star Wars fans that, oh my God, how can they make the show? It's so childish. It's for kids. Well, yeah, they said it's for kids. Did you know that Star Wars it's for so many people that it's not always for you? That's why Clone Wars is coming back, and it will be on the Disney streaming service. We had Rebels, which were more, like, yeah, they were still kid shows, but adults could watch it. If I were a kid and I had the Star Wars Resistance, I would be so, like, please, like, if you're, like, 3 or 4, and if you want to expose your kid to that, because Star Wars, it can be heavy, and you want, can be violent, so you want to introduce your kids at the right time to it. Yeah, it's awesome for kids to have. And yes, kids can have it, because we have so much stuff that we can enjoy. But it's just silly that people get outraged at, like, the smallest things.
Yeah, people suck. And it's just like,
I don't want to cut you off. I don't want to cut you off, but to people, how people suck. Spider-Man is coming out next week for the PS4. I've seen some really silly things where, like, I seen this article. Fans are so outraged because the developers removed a puddle.
Huh?
What?
They removed a puddle?
They removed a puddle. They made a puddle smaller. Then there are so many people saying, oh, they downgraded the game. Like, the game originally had, like, a yellow tint to it, like the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans. It's more cleaned up now. Personally, I like it, but people find everything. There's a segment of people, the outrage culture we have, that love to be upset about something. And then you get this, whether it be a minority or a bigger group, and then people report on it as if that's, that is the majority. But yeah, I cut you off. I want you to say what you were going to say.
I don't remember. It's probably something I already said before anyways. It's just like, I don't know. It's exhausting, really. It's like,
you want to hear a heartwarming story, but sad at the same time.
After I make one small point, it's just where I'm kind of conflicted on, like, mentioning stuff like this. Like I mentioned before, I said it's important and whatnot, but there's also a part of me that's like, you're just encouraging it. You're just bringing light
exactly.
to it. So it's a bizarre thing to cover. But anyways, what's your story?
So there was this kid, and I don't remember his name, which I wish I did. There's this kid who, at school, he was getting bullied.
This was recently, right?
Yeah, recently. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, I'm going to pull up his name. One sec.
Yeah, if you could pull up his name while I say this. So there's this kid, he was being bullied at school, and these kids were, like, physically hurting him, and you can see a picture of him bruised up and cut. And when his mom asked him why he didn't defend himself, which I thought was so heartwarming, because he's just a kid. And he had said, and maybe when you're looking this up, you can get the direct quote, but it was to the extent of, I didn't fight back because it's not the Jedi way, which I thought was within, this whole outrage culture. It's heartwarming to see that.
I thought we were talking about two different kids.
Oh, okay. Then we were talking, you mentioned what you're going to mention.
My story's a lot darker, and that's where I thought you were going. I thought we were going.
Oh, no, yeah, I wasn't going much darker. Because this story, it's sad, but it's uplifting. And you could be somebody to say, well, it's not the Jedi way I know. If you look at the prequels, one of the things I liked about it, George told the story of the Jedi losing their way, which that's something I like about the prequels. And if you look at the Jedi that George, showed us, is that you're not somebody who just, you don't just fight. And, whether you have your own vision of it, but, it's lessons these kids learn. That he's not going to fight these guys because it's not worth his time. It's not worth his time. And yet, it wasn't just him being bullied and just standing down. He had a reason for why he didn't fight back, which I thought was very heartwarming. Sad story to begin with, but heartwarming.
Yeah, I thought your story's a lot nicer overall, I guess. I thought you were going with this other story.
I don't know your story, so I'm curious to hear it.
You don't know my story? It's like, I
don't think I do.
It's not movie related, and it is on the topic of, like, what we've been talking about, bullying. And
maybe I do know this.
You do know it.
I don't know. Maybe, because I've heard a few things.
And, it's definitely about the topic we've been talking about. just depends. It's the Jake and Ben show. 100% movies all the time, because this isn't a movie, but maybe it's worth talking about. I was thinking of the 9-year-old boy who killed himself after he...
Okay.
One? You heard about that one?
Yeah.
Jamel Miles. I believe Jamel is how you pronounce it. It looks like Jamal, but it's an E. And Jamel Miles. That's where I thought you were going, because... because that's what we were talking about. But, I mean, like... Shit, we could get into something like this, but oh my god, this is a heavy episode.
We're going.
Episode.
Yeah, we're going.
I think, like, I don't know. There's a place for joking. There's a place. How deep are we going?
I think, you know what? I know the story, and I feel like we'd be assholes to just tease it and not say it.
I know. That's what I was thinking. That's what
I think we can say it. Yeah, you can say it, the story, make a quick comment, because this could go deep, and I don't know if we want, like, we can go there. We'll see how it goes. We'll tread the waters.
Sure, let's tread the waters. Yeah, I'm sure people who are listening have heard about it, but it was the 9-year-old boy who killed himself after he came out as gay. He did it to his mother first, I believe, and then he was excited to tell his friends at school, and then, of course... there was like some backlash towards it, and then he killed himself. And what I think is disgusting about this is that it is similar to what we were talking about before about the internet, and about, you know, people can be so fucking heartless on the internet. A lot of this was like, a lot of the backlash after this story was, how can a 9-year-old even know he's gay? And you know what? This actually does kind of weave itself into movies, where I saw people saying, like, it's because there are gay characters in films that a kid like this age could watch, and he's just seeing that, so he thinks he's gay, and all this shit, where it's like, I think they're missing the heart of the story, is that it's a 9-year-old who died. Regardless of your belief of, can a 9-year-old know his sexuality or any of that, it's a 9-year-old that died. Are you fucked? Like, right? It's that kind of idea. And like, to blame entertainment or pop culture or film as a whole that they're showing gay characters. It's like, when you're 9 years old, it's normal to have crushes on people in your grade or whatever, and whether it's a boy or a girl, it's healthy, and he is gonna like, if he is legitimately gay, he is gonna like have a crush on a boy or whatever, regardless of what he sees in a Pixar film or any of that shit. And it's a 9-year-old that died because the fucking kids at his school they're kids, and they're being, I don't know. It's a hard topic when you're talking about kids. It always comes down to the parents being cunts. It's usually what it is. It's usually just fucking oblivious or ignorant parents who don't know how to raise a child in 2018. They're just pieces of shit, right? And then they allow for stuff like this. Like, someone should not be getting bullied like this if a parent had a fucking half a brain kind of thing, you know? Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
This is a big one, and I'll try to be quick with staying, still, serious to the topic. Not to say I was going to joke, but with this, it's also like a political thing, and not even to go on the sides, but we just live in a political age of, like, just whether it's the outrage culture of, well, now it's got to go down to politics. I'm going to tell you why, how does a 9-year-old even know? And this is in the media. Listen, straight white males, you can look at cinema, have been represented and have had their story told so many times, which is why, whether it be a movie where, I know you didn't like it, but for a movie that I really loved Simon. Now somebody who is gay in high school, elementary, they have a story that it's not even just about being gay. It's just, just about love. You have that story now, and you can relate to it. Whether it be Crazy Rich Asians, we've seen rom-coms so many times, but now it's from a different perspective, which makes the movie unique. To blame media for it, to hide your own ignorance of why you're uncomfortable of somebody being gay, it's such horseshit.
Yeah.
Why does it really And yeah, you got your religion, but as I said, this is why I don't like religion, and I won't get into a whole. If you're into religion, that's okay, but at the same time, things change, and in that, if somebody's gay, trans, or whatever it may be, why does it affect you that much that a 9-year-old dying has to turn into a whole debate of if he knows he's gay or not?
Right, exactly. They're missing
or
the
even
point.
or even to say, oh, fucking media, gay movies, this, that. Why? And it goes on to this hate of like Kelly Marie Tran, Ahmed Best, even John Boyega for that fact, is that why does it have to go down to race or, if being sexist or, being homophobic? Why does it matter to you so much about that? Why doesn't it matter that a 9-year-old died? Why doesn't it matter that a woman is being harassed online for not... And there were people who disliked Rose, but she's being harassed. The stuff she's being harassed for is not even about being Rose. Even Ahmed Best, is that the conversations become something so, ridiculous. And that, this world. See, this is why I hate people. This is why I'm glad and not everybody's bad, but I don't like people because of stuff like this.
No, I agree for sure. And just to go on the topic that we're talking about this boy, is like, look, like sexuality, it can be confusing. Look, maybe he wasn't gay. Maybe he didn't know. Maybe he was confused. Like that's the thing. People can get confused. People can experiment. That's the thing. Maybe that is what happened, and who knows? That's a discussion for another time. But the whole point is that a 9-year-old died, and it's just weird that
it's being used to push other people's political agendas.
And look, I think pushing a political agenda from a tragedy isn't always a terrible thing. Look, like for example, like gun violence, and a lot of people see like a group of kids died, say, in a shooting, and some activists who are anti-gun say they don't want their deaths to be in vain. So they're rallying for gun control and whatnot. It makes sense because you let those who died not die in vain. Their death has inspired or given a cause. Of course, it's not worth it because of course you would rather individuals be alive and not have to go through this in the world. But there's that argument, and then it's just like this 9-year-old died, and then you're making about his sexuality. I don't know. It's just it's muddy water, and it's a strange thing to get into. It's just like, I don't know. It's sad.
It's sad. And we had some heavy talk, which is going to make this one feel a lot lighter. However, I'm going to stick in here for a few more, let's say a quick few minutes. And that I wanted to go on to the Rian Johnson trilogy. You and I were talking, and before this, he tweeted out, I was telling you personally why I felt the Rian trilogy is going to happen. And to take up my bias of loving The Last Jedi is that if you look at the history of this new regime at Lucasfilm, all the movies that have come out, the best working relationship has been with Rian Johnson. They had no problems with Rian Johnson, and most importantly, the big man himself, Bob Iger, loved The Last Jedi. Kathleen Kennedy loved The Last Jedi, which is why when Rian went into Kathleen Kennedy's office and said, hey, I would like to, what do you think about doing a trilogy, removed from all this and just doing something brand new with new characters, new worlds, and what would you think of that? Is why she said yes, why Bob Iger said yes. The reason why they said yes, they loved working with Rian, and they loved the movie themselves. Disney is not a studio that is entirely reactionary. They'll react to James Gunn or Roseanne when it comes to, having their brand look okay, but generally when it comes to movies like that, they're not as reactionary, and mostly it comes down to what Bob Iger wants. He runs the shop. Now, those were reasons why I thought this was going to happen, and it did make a lot of money. And another thing to go back into our conversation before, what is also lost is that, was there a divide within hardcore fans? Yeah. But when you look at Star Wars, ultimately, there's a lot of people that are seeing this movie don't have social media, whether it be a kid or a grandfather or someone old that's just, going there. It's this, and not to alienate whether you like it or not, but, there's there's a segment of people where voices won't be heard. For the most part, I think people like this movie. Now, you have your hardcore fan divide there. Yeah, not denying that. And I feel as fans, we have this, feel of, like, this is our product and fucking don't you fuck it up. As you got to give a filmmaker, whether it be Ryan, JJ, whoever, whether it's the Russo brothers, as a fan, you got to be able to say, all right, this is what I would, like to see, expect, but you are the artist, go make art, and I will be open to whether you're liking it or not, but I'm going to give you the respect to go make this and make your movie, because ultimately I think fans tend to look at what their movie would be, and if it's not their movie, they're like, not everybody, but some people. Now, where I go with this is that Ryan, somebody tweeted out to Ryan just, hey, are you still doing your trilogy? I'm looking forward to that. And he replied, yep, with, a little fist bump emoji. You may think that's nothing. However, I do think it's significant, because if he wasn't, I don't even think he would take the time to respond.
Right.
I just think that Lucasfilm and Disney, they're just riding the wave right now. Episode 9 will come out. I'm sure they'll market the hell out of that, because they have the time. They have, but the year and a half to do it. They have the time to, get fans back. The TV show, live action Jon Favreau TV show, Clone Wars, they'll be fine. However, those reasons are why I think the Ryan trilogy is going to happen. And I seen somebody put out something, I don't even know who it was, but no, the Ryan trilogy is not confirmed. They announced it. Lucasfilm announced it. They have yet to, even when it came out of the Star Wars stories being on hold, they said, listen, everything we announced, we're still moving forward with. That being the Game of Thrones guys producing a series of Star Wars films, and Ryan and Episode 9. You hear that? Do you think it's going to happen? To me, I think they confirmed it. Bob Iger loved it. Kathleen Kennedy loved it. They had the best working relationship. He replies, "Yep," fist emoji, fist bump emoji. Yeah. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think your point about if he wasn't doing it, he wouldn't even acknowledge it on Twitter is true. I think it is happening, at least for now. Of course, nothing's 100%. It could always just turn on a dime and stop. But I think right now, I think it is happening. I think, there's a lot of backlash for The Last Jedi, and it was I don't think it was justified, but I get where people are coming from, I guess. And but I think overall it was a success. It made a shit ton of money.
Yeah, it did.
For the most part, it's got great critic reviews.
I think even if you to me, if we can even get in the whole audience score stuff, because I know I have my opinions on it, you do also.
Yeah.
To me, I look at audience ratings as it's meaningless. Not to demean people who love to write, fan reviews, but why I personally say that, whether it be an IMDb, there's movies you can go on now that haven't been released to general public, and people will write a review for it and either give it a 10 or a 0, depending if they like the person or not. That's before a film can come out, and you can just do multiple votes. With that being said, if you look at most, and because I don't even want to go on this debate, I'm kind of over it, but if you look at most of the fan scores, they're generally positive except Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't think we've ever talked about this specific topic. We've talked about the backlash and stuff, but we've never talked about specifically fan scores, and I want to. Even though it's a little burnt out now, I kind of want to. So
the thing is, to me, I'm kind of past the Last Jedi debate, but we can talk, the fan reviews. Yeah,
because I have something I've wanted to say for a while that I've never really gotten a chance to, but now is kind of the moment. About this kind of divide between critic and audience ratings, and why it happens, and what I think you have wrong about it, and what I think some people on the internet have wrong about it. And would you like to hear it?
I would like to hear it.
Okay.
I'm curious of what I'm wrong about. I don't think I've said a stance on it yet, but maybe I did personally.
Yeah, you just did actually, and I don't think I think that makes up a fraction of why audience scores are poor. It's such an insignificant thing. Wow, I'm really building this up. Hey, this is good. This is good radio.
You are, because I have a lot of things I want to say about it. That was just the tipping point. Okay, because I wonder if what you would say will lean into what I think also.
The only reason
maybe we're going to get into a fist fight. We're going to get in the trenches.
I hope so. I don't think so though. I think you'll find that you'll agree with me, and I think you might also say that your point wasn't your only point for sure. And but I only point out this one point you made because I've heard it on other movie YouTubers, and I just don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay. So what I think is bullshit for movies having low ratings, what I think is complete bullshit, is this argument that people can make multiple accounts, or that people can rate it before. This one's not as much, but people rate it before the movie comes out. Yeah, people can make multiple accounts, but it's not many people would. And people rating it before, yeah, it's always going to happen. But the number of people that rate a movie before it comes out is so insignificant, it's fucking meaningless to the overall rating. What I think is happening, for say like an IMDb score, is, and the divide with critic and audience is, a critic is paid to give their opinion, or at least they want to get paid to give their opinion. You know, maybe they're an up and coming critic. So what they say, they feel has weight because people are going to listen, and they don't want to be all, and they don't want to be nothing. They don't want to say, this is a 10, this is amazing, I love it, or this is a 1, I hate it. You know, they have to express their thoughts. They have to say what they feel. Someone who has no following, doesn't even want a following, is just on IMDb, can see a movie, not like it, give it a 1. See a movie, love it, and give it a 10. I was this person. When I first had my IMDb account, if I liked a movie, I'd give it a 10 on IMDb. If I didn't like it, I'd give it a 1. That's just how I did it, because I wanted my rating to have more weight than other people's ratings. So if a movie's at a 6, I'm like, damn, it deserves a 7. But if I give it a 7, it's a slower climb up to a 7. But if I give it a 10, it's a bigger jump. So I can be all or nothing, and no one cares because no one's listening to me. So I can not like The Last Jedi and give it a 1. Not because I legitimately think it deserves a 1. I just want to see that rating get lower. So I think that's what it is. People want their ratings to have more weight. I think it has nothing to do with making multiple accounts. I'm sure people do it. I'm sure people are that dumb to think that has a bigger impact. I was that dumb to think giving a 1 or a 10 has a big impact, and people are. But I think that's what it is. They want their voice to be more prominent than it is. Whereas a critic, they actually want some type of acclaim. They want to have a voice that people can respect and appreciate and get behind. And no, it's their job. So, and then I also think there's a whole other ballpark for Cinema Score, which we can get into. I think that's a whole other beast. And to say a movie is rated highly on Cinema Score means nothing about its quality, nothing. And I think it just has to do with how accurate the movie was based on its marketing. What are your thoughts on all this?
I agree and disagree.
Okay, let's get it.
I'll start. I'll go into another aspect of what I personally think and of being a fan. To me now, with like it being in film, and like with us doing reviews, I'll watch a movie first as a fan, and when I think about it, and the second time I see it, I think of it more with the critical eye, and I'll look at more things that may seem nitpicky to some people, or even bigger issues, and you break it down. As if you look at like a review, if you go read mostly any review, they're gonna break it down. And all film is subjective, so to them, they're gonna break it down to what they think the movie is, what impact it has. Did it, transcend, whatever genre? They're gonna, break down the importance of it, camera work, sound, cinematography, writing, directing, acting. There's so many aspects into reviewing films that when I was a fan, I simply didn't look at that stuff. I didn't take in consideration any of that shit. I just knew, oh, this is John Williams' score. I like that. Oh, I like what's going on here. And not to say all fans are like that, again, everybody has, it's all segments of people. But also, when you're a fan, I just don't think when you're reviewing something, you break it down to its full honesty, because no matter what, you have somewhat of a bias towards something. Like, and not to go into a whole debate of this, but just as an example, like if you're like a hardcore DC fan, you see a Marvel film, you're like, it was okay, but, it wasn't The Dark Knight. And still, you may have like Ethan Hawke, talking about Logan. Oh, this for a comic book film, it's all right, but it's no Bergman. Like something like that. It's so, like with anything, there's so many, dimensions to it. I just look at critical reviews to break down something to its whole. It's not to say every critic's good. It's not to say that. You got to find the one you agree with, and you find a few. I found a few I tend to lean more towards. That's what I follow. But ultimately, where I'm going with it is that you break it down to a more sophisticated level, let's say. And then a fan review. As a fan review, you're looking at it as a fan. As a fan, did I like this product? Did I not? And that's where I feel a lot of them go to that I've seen. To me personally, I'm somebody who, not to put down fans, because I'm a fan, but I just don't give a shit about fan reviews because I feel like they have their bias and they're not, critically breaking it down piece by piece. Because I use The Last Jedi for an example, you can read some reviews and like this is something I heard people say is, oh, well, if it wasn't Luke Skywalker and it wasn't this, if it was somebody else, it's a good film. Okay, so you're saying you hate something, not everybody, but you're saying you're going to hate something because it's Luke Skywalker, but if you change it to, John Doe, suddenly it's a good film. It's horseshit because then you're not critically judging it. You're judging it as a fan because that's Luke Skywalker and saying, well, it's shit because it's Luke, but if it's, someone else, it's good. There's so many layers to it, and I'm sure you disagree with probably everything I said there. Now, quickly something to where I do think there is a segment that is important in today's time of like, and it's not everybody, but you'll get a segment that, like, let's say a racist segment. There is some racist guy claiming, all right, fucking, this is why I made multiple bot accounts and downvoted this movie and that movie. With Cinema Score, ultimately I have the same stance on, audience scores as that. I just don't look at them. I don't care for them. But at least if it was on Cinema Score, the person's seen it. That's all I give Cinema Score over IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, or anything else. It's not that I look at that, I'm going to, look at Cinema Score and agree with that. That's just, at least I know you've seen it. That's all it does for me.
Ooh, okay. Interesting.
I feel like I didn't articulate what I wanted to say, but I feel the basis of it.
I think I get what you're saying, and I think I disagree with you. I think, just let me try and rephrase it so I see that I understand what you're saying. You're talking about, for example, you're saying The Last Jedi, how, say, one fan might say, I don't like it because it's Luke, whereas a critic would never think like that, and a critic would break it down, using film history or film theory or just understanding how films are made. And those kind of details are insignificant. Is that kind of where you're coming from? Sort of. I guess in a sense. I'll use to lean on that, which is not to say if you dislike the movie because of Luke. Like, it's okay if you fundamentally disagree. That's okay. That is fine. But if I'm breaking down a movie by, like, let's say a character arc, Luke had a character arc that was significant and it mattered, whether you agree with it or disagree with it. I'm going to hear a critic say that, then a fan account saying, the fuck, that's not Luke Skywalker. Hashtag not my Luke. That's why I hate it, as it's not as, articulated of why it's hashtag not my Luke, as with, somebody breaking down the arc of Luke. Whether they like it or don't. Interesting. But so are you saying that because that fan, say, doesn't have the time or doesn't have the vocabulary or the passion to actually break down why they
if you don't have the time or vocabulary, why are you taking the time to write one to begin with?
Interesting. To me, if, say, someone does have that criticism, or maybe you're saying it's a non-criticism of Luke wouldn't do this or whatever, I think, to me, it's still valid. It's just this person doesn't have a great way of articulating it. Because to have a criticism of this character is acting out of their type, right? Like, all of a sudden, this character who we've known for years isn't that character anymore, and it's someone different. That is a legitimate criticism. If that bothers you and you feel it exists, and it's legitimate, whether you're a critic who explains it, why not, or you're a random on the internet who just says, fuck this Luke. I think they're the same
I guess you
thing.
got a point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just this person doesn't have the time, doesn't have the education or whatever.
But if you're saying they don't have the time, if you don't have the education or to be able to articulate it, that's fine. But if you don't have the time, why are you putting time in at all?
I think
if we can talk about it, but we can totally talk about it. But if you don't have the time, why write a review?
I think just because, they want their voice to be heard, like everyone in the internet age. They just want they want to be heard. They want to feel like what they have to say matters, and whether they have.
But then, if what you say you want it to matter, then wouldn't you put more time and thought into it? And again, possibly. I want to reiterate, it's not me saying you're an idiot for saying that because maybe I disagree with you or not. It's just to say, like, those are just fundamental, things of what I look at a critic. I take away Luke, like insert any movie here or character. I'll look at a critic for them to be able to critically break down whether it be a story arc, character arc, development, camera work, directing, acting, sound design. They don't hit all those marks. However, I will look to them to hit some of those marks, as with, for me as a fan 5 years ago, I wouldn't even have thought to hit those marks. I'm just thinking as a fan, which is okay to think of a fan. As a fan, you don't have to be, a critic, but then goes into the whole, well, critics are idiots for doing this, and look at this score for that. Critics don't know what to talk about, fans do, and a whole. I'm of a mindset which is not the majority. I know that, of just where I don't need to look at a critic score or an audience score, and I don't care because I'll see it and judge it for myself. Which
right.
That kind of we're talking about it, so talking about it to me just. Why I don't look at fan reviews, whether I agree with them or don't, and it's not even about agreeing or don't because it's subjective. So ultimately, you can disagree and agree, but ultimately it's subjective. So if I read a review, I'm not thinking of it to be mad at this person for saying that. I can just say, well, okay, I respect your opinion. I just don't agree with it. But ultimately, maybe I'm old school in this thinking, but it's no Roger Ebert, and I don't agree with all of Roger Ebert's reviews that he had out, but just they were more sophisticated than most fan reviews that I see.
No, I definitely think they are more sophisticated.
And to me, that's the biggest difference between audience scores or critic.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there that it's a critic could be more sophisticated, whether they they have some type of degree in writing, or they have better vocabulary, they get paid to do this, they do it more often. Yeah, I think that's true. But I don't think it makes just one random fan or just some person's opinion on the movie less valid. I also don't think just because you have a knowledge of film and you use that knowledge in your reviews makes you superior to a fan. It's weird. It's totally. I think we're.
I think when it comes to I think when it comes to critically writing a review, it does. If you're talking just movies in itself, I know. But if we're talking, somebody can have a blog and just write things that, if they want to write their blog a newspaper, it's different than if I'm reading the New York Times. The New York Times is the New York Times. If I'm writing somebody's blog, it's just inferior in my opinion. Now that may be an unpopular opinion, but
no.
Like podcasting. Right. I listen to Howard Stern, and that guy, he's somebody who had to, go through the ranks of radio, actual radio, and having a job, as to now anybody can sit down and do what we're doing. To me, it's inferior because, you didn't have to go through the ranks. That may be old school thinking, but to me, it's just where I go to, because if you're talking as a fan, ultimately your history of a film, if you took a history of film or writing, you could throw that out the window, yes, but the moment you want to write a critical review, whether you are a critic or not, just a critical review, it gives you the edge if you have that stuff if you don't.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it gives you a background so you can maybe articulate your points more, you understand where you're coming from. But I also think that kind of angle in filmmaking should be subliminal, and it should not be something your review shouldn't say. I'm not saying I say it shouldn't say, but of course your review can say whatever you want. You can write whatever style you want. You can explain everything you want. It's the internet. It's your thing. Do whatever the fuck you want, kind of thing. But might be a whole other topic. I think filmmaking as a whole should be a subconscious thing. So you might have a critic who explains that the cinematography was great, and you might have a fan that has no clue what the word cinematography means, but they don't need to, because that is something that subconsciously affects their appreciation of the film. Studios don't pay cinematographers to shoot their movie so that a handful of people watching the movie be it the critics, can explain how amazing the cinematography is, they pay and hire cinematographers so that they can help create a film that subconsciously affects an audience member. The same thing with score. The audience doesn't have to necessarily notice a piece of music and understand music to appreciate it. It has to be a subconscious thing. People make movies. They don't have to make movies for people who know about movies. They have to make movies for people who like movies.
Yeah. To that also is just where like film discussion. But that's where I go to a critical review. That's what I'm grown to expect from a critical review. If you're being paid to break down the film, you need to know that. Okay. But then ultimately, I guess you know what I'll look at it as is what I just mentioned. Like, to me, radio and podcasting are two different things. Somebody on the radio is getting paid by SiriusXM or whoever it may be. As with you could have a Patreon, have a subscription there. You could get revenue from YouTube. However, it's not like you had to go out and get that job, as you can just do this. As that's where I think the difference in audience scores and critical scores are. It's just professionalism, let's say.
Okay.
They're being paid. And maybe I'm articulating it better now. Maybe you still disagree.
I think I get what you're saying. I think I totally understand, and I half agree. I think, a critic is getting paid to it, so they need to have this skill. I get that for sure. I disagree that that your podcast radio thingy, because like anyone. Okay, hold on. Where the fuck am I going with this? This is a crazy episode. I love it. All right, this is great. Jake and Ben
not to cut you off, but even anybody can do this. Not anybody can walk into a radio station and do a radio show. In fact, I think there's a lot of people that don't.
It's apples to oranges, I think. It's like red apples to green apples, actually. It's like, anyone can make a YouTube show, of course. Like what we're doing, anyone can do it. But not anyone can get sponsorships, or not anyone can make money, which is, the Howard Stern thing or the Sirius thing. That's more apples to apples to me. It's once you're at the same tier of both making it a living. It's not Brad and Chad making their podcast getting no money. That to me are not the same thing.
But ultimately, even what I go down to is that if you work for SiriusXM, your paycheck comes from SiriusXM,
right?
Yet you can benefit from sponsorship. If you do this, you can benefit from sponsorship,
but your paycheck could come from YouTube.
But even then, you're not getting a paycheck from month to month or week to week or yearly to yearly. You're getting a paycheck based off if this video did well or that didn't.
It's still month to month.
As if you work for SiriusXM, you're getting a constant paycheck.
It's interesting. I think that is totally an older way of thinking.
It is. I can agree to that. And I think a lot of people will listen and disagree.
Yeah, I think if tomorrow, say tomorrow, all of a sudden, each of our episodes are getting 1 million views. We're getting 1 million views of it. So let's just say 100,000. Yeah. No, let's say 500,000 views. We get 500,000 views on our reviews, and we get 100,000 on our Jake and Ben show, whatever. If that happens tomorrow, and then I think you're going to start changing your tune, because then we get that YouTube check at the end of the month. It's like, wow, we get a YouTube check at the end of the next month. That's how it is. But even to
that, I would appreciate that, but at the same time, but we're not now. Somebody at SiriusXM could have one listener, but they're getting that.
Yeah, not for long, and not until they get fucking booted. And
but at the same time, they're still getting it.
Yeah, but it's not like they started there. No one starts there, right?
Well, exactly. Nobody does start there, but like whether, like Howard Stern, when he's working in Hartford, he's making nothing, but he's still getting a constant paycheck from, whether from when he's in Hartford to Detroit to Washington. When you're lesser known, smaller markets, but you still have that constant paycheck.
I still think that's not even a starting point. I still think you could start lower than that, even in that more traditional
college radio.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it's hard.
But
hard to
exactly
argue
there,
this
exactly there.
And
college radio is getting prepared to go into the professional world. As with, you may do audience reviews. You could be somebody who's going to turn into that critic review,
right?
But you're getting your practice doing audience reviews,
right?
As with, hey, maybe one day we'll move up there, but this is the practice right here
for sure
before you move up.
Yeah, but I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that at all. But I don't think...
And where I go into that, I know I'm going on a spiel here.
It's fine.
Is because within that, you may have that like 5-10 people, maybe 100 people within the audience reviews that are going to be those critic reviews. At the same time, you still have that 5 or 10 people in there that are saying, I like this movie because I'm biased against this. That's what weeds it out for me. As much as you can look at a critic review and read it and be like, what the fuck this guy's saying? I mean, I guess you still have them there. I think
everyone's going to carry their biases. Is that the plural? Everyone's going to carry their biases, the biases. Everyone's going to have that, whether you're a critic, an audience, or whatever. You're just going to have your background. But that's what's special. That's what you bring to it.
But even go like horror films. I'm not into horror, but I'm not biased against that. If I go see Get Out, Split, Quiet Place, I can love those films with I guess having a bias against horror is that, well, I guess, I can still appreciate them. But at the same time, I'm not harder on it because it's not my thing. It's just not my thing. I'm not hard on it because it's not my thing. I'm just neutral.
Well, that's a whole other topic, I think.
I think this whole thing can split into 500 different ways.
Yeah, it did.
In my closing thoughts on this is that fan reviews they're okay. Audience reviews, okay. I just look at them with a lack of professionalism as I would critical reviews. Even looking at critical reviews, I throw them out the window. That's just me.
Okay.
I look them. Yeah. I find my people that I happen to have maybe this, some same taste as. Even then, not all the time. But even then, I don't take their, it's like, oh, they told me this, so this is what I'm
of course
think, which
of course
some people.
But that
and that's what I find like with fan let's take fan Instagram accounts. They'll dislike insert movie here, and find the reviewer that agrees with them and the segment that agrees with them and pulls them all in. And I just feel like that ultimately where I'm going with that is just audiences, which they don't have to change. It can be the way it is, but I don't know. I throw in the towel on this discussion.
All right, I don't right now. I want to say a few more things. Yeah, I think I do watch and read critics, but of course that is not what decides if I like a movie or not. Of course. And I think if that is what you use to decide if a movie is good or not, if you have to hear other people tell you if a movie is good or not to decide if that movie is good or not, then there's something inherently wrong with your views of entertainment and art. You're backwards. You don't know who you are, I guess, as a person or as someone who consumes media. You just don't, because that's not what it is. It doesn't have to be other people tell you how you feel about it. Therefore, that's how you feel about it. Some of that can come down to you're scared. Say, Infinity War comes out, everyone loves it. You don't. You could sometimes just hear people say it's good, so you agree with their opinion on why it's good because you're scared to have a difference of opinion, or you don't think that your arguments for why it's bad are strong enough, so you kind of just hop on this bandwagon. I think there's something wrong with that, and there's wrong not with you as a person, but with you as a consumer. I think we agree on that point, definitely, for sure. And I think we agree on most of this, but we're coming at it from so many different angles that we're kind of getting lost in it. In what we're saying,
I feel we have gotten lost a bit.
It's fine.
Once you're done,
this episode's okay. This episode's been a fucking. I've really enjoyed. I've enjoyed this episode. It's good. Good thing we didn't put. Yeah, this is good. This is good. It's kind of loosely about movies. I think it's. I feel
like we're taking real topics and tying it into movies.
It's cool. I'm digging it. I think it's. It speaks to the importance of movies just in culture as a whole, which I like.
Yes.
I think that's important for sure. Just being a fan of art and stuff like that. It is valuable, especially for stuff like this. One thing I want to ask you before we move on that kind of got lost in the shuffle there that I want to dig it back up. You mentioned we were talking about the Howard Stern stuff, the Sirius XM versus YouTube podcasting. I just want to know what you think the peak is. Is it being on Sirius, or is it getting 5 million views per video on YouTube? Because the way I heard
for me, it would be Sirius XM, because and not to name, I'm not going to name certain people, but you can find them all over YouTube. And where I mostly go with this is of a certain guy who had a YouTube fight that pulled in 800,000 views, $10 buy-in to watch. As a boxing fan, I think it's ridiculous that fucking these not even amateurs, wouldn't even classify as amateurs, can make so much money, yet guys who are busting their ass, who are good fighters, can't get that exposure. Now where I go into that, okay, good for YouTube. But ultimately where I go into that is like, let's say that certain person, they don't have a longevity in this. They're going to die out, just as most people have, because insert person here may not have a certain skill set that they had to go out and apply themselves to get an actual job on like a television show or what may be. They don't have Howard Stern. He's stood the test of time because he is great. Not everybody can, but ultimately, like where I go to is that people on here, they don't make the same type of you can make a buck, yes you can, but you don't make the type of revenue. If you listen to most successful people on YouTube, they'll say it's all fine and dandy, but this isn't how I pay the bills, because it doesn't pay that much unless you're somebody here, like a certain select group of people. It's not enough to sustain life, as with if you're working at SiriusXM and you happen to be good at what you're doing, whether it be 5 years, 6 or 8, even 3, you're going to have a constant paycheck that will be able to provide.
I think
I think that I would much rather work at, like, let's say this goes somewhere, and if it's like, would I want to be on YouTube, and not to trash YouTube because it's great service, we love it, but would I rather be on there? Or SiriusXM? As of today, in today's world, right now, I don't know what 5 years or 3 years is going to be from now, but right now, I would much rather be there.
Okay, I think the bigger YouTubers are making so much more money than Howard Stern or anyone on Sirius.
Really?
So much more. Way more.
Oh, wow.
If you have to, you can look at like actual YouTuber revenue. You can look at their social.
Well, give me who do you think is the highest earning YouTuber? Just give me their number.
See, like a lot of it is there's like obviously the more family oriented.
Take away merchandising.
Just like
on
from
YouTube
ad revenue alone. That's what you're looking for? Like,
yep.
Let me get like a lot of it comes down to CPM, which is like how much money you make per ad. So like bigger companies like Coke, if you're running like Coca-Cola ads or like Starbucks ads on your videos, you're going to make a lot more money. And videos that run those ads are usually family friendlier ones. So like if you're making a video, talking about like topics like ISIS or something, your CPM is going to be a lot lower. You're making a lot less money. So if we wanted to just look at like
I'm looking for the number.
So I'm just thinking if we were talking, like you mentioned the boxing fight. So if we were to just pull up them, go to Logan Paul, who you're talking about, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know his YouTube channel name, but I'm gonna pull up his monthly revenue here. If you want to look at like YouTubers' monthly revenue, Social Blade is what you do that. And Logan Paul is gonna get higher CPMs because he's more family friendly. So he's making $500,000 a month. So like,
okay, $500,000 a month.
Yeah.
And this is where I go into Logan Paul. Let's take him.
Sure.
He's the majority on YouTube. Yeah, he's making money. However, he can burn out. It can be over
for sure
soon.
Yeah, for sure.
As if Howard Stern, who signs a 5-year contract, can make $500 million in 5 years. He's sustained, he has 5 years guaranteed of like a 500 million. Then this guy, depending per video, could get $500,000.
Right. But I think that's just
but even then, that's a bad example because he is the highest paid broadcaster. There's a reason you know him as the king of all media. So to me, if you compare it to somebody else, name a host of like Lithium. I'm sure that guy makes more, but if you take the average, YouTuber on here, they're not making as much as somebody at Sirius. So that's the majority.
Yeah,
not the majority. That's a minority.
Yeah. But the problem is, it is totally the minority on YouTube for sure. But that's just because of the numbers. YouTube is so accessible. Like we're part of that number, and of course we're just two random schmucks, right? That's just the number. Yeah. You can't be a random schmuck on Sirius. So that's just a numbers game.
Well, you very well could be. I've heard some random schmucks on there.
Oh, but I mean, like if you compare the numbers of 1,000, but on like on YouTube,
I know what
you're
millions,
saying, right?
Yeah.
It's a hard comparison for sure. I just like, not to take away the success of someone like Howard Stern. Like Howard Stern is huge, and he's earned his place. No matter how much I don't like Howard Stern, he's earned his place in the media industry and in the entertainment world. He's earned it because he's worked hard for it and he's grinded over the years, right? Doesn't mean someone on YouTube doesn't work that hard or doesn't have to grind that hard. Because you start from nothing. No one's watching you. You're speaking into a void. You have to have passion. You have to have a unique voice to get there. As much as Logan Paul is kind of a piece of shit and his content is poor, he does that grind. He's constantly there with a voice making videos. There is an audience there. It doesn't matter if you...
But even to that, I still don't think it's that hard. I don't think it's that hard than waking up every day at like 5 or 4 in the morning to go in and do a 6 a.m. 4-hour, 5-hour shift and having to be able to provide all that content. It's much easier on here. I don't think it's as hard. Yeah, you got people working.
I think it depends on the person and depends on what you do, right? Like, you could be a YouTuber that like has people that film for them, has people that edit for them. And sure, maybe that's easier. But you can also be a YouTuber that you're constantly 24/7 at your computer making videos, editing, promoting, marketing. And you don't know any of this because you're just watching the video, right? You're just seeing this person. Like Casey Neistat, for example, vlogged for like 5 years every day, made cinematic vlogs. Like he was making a short film every day. And people, you will just watch his videos and see, a shot. That shot could have taken an hour to set up. He's putting his camera down, skateboarding, comes back and has to get his camera, but he got the shot. It's crazy what people don't know goes into
to me that's just a hobby. And again, this could just be old thinking and bias. To me, that's your hobby doing it, and even if that's your main job, I don't think you can sustain it.
But it's not a hobby when you make like fucking like $10 million a year or whatever.
To me, I think it's a hobby that started out with nobody watching. Now you got an audience, and hey, my hobby turned into a way I'm making a living now.
Yeah, I think it starts as a hobby for sure. Like what we're doing, like what we're doing right now is a hobby. This is not a job. Of course, it's not a job.
And I guess I should like say here, I'm not trashing it because of course I want this to do well. I'm not saying I don't. To me, it's just a different landscape than if I got a job in radio. Because even then, it's a whole different ballpark of things you have to do, know. And yeah, I just, I look at it differently.
New media,
to me, this is just easy. If, this isn't a shot at, this, but like Collider. It's not a shot at them. But if I'm making money every day getting up and talking about movies, whether it be if I'm somebody on the background just composing a shot or audio, I'm thinking, shit, if this is all I'm doing, this is the easiest money I'm gonna make. And not to demean them at all. It's not demeaning them at all. But I'm not, if I'm working up and doing a fucking 9 to 5, shift work on a desk, I'm thinking, fuck me. Wow. I'm gonna hate some of my days. If I'm getting up every day to work at Collider, I'm loving it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and what you're kind of saying to me is like that old expression, like if you find a job you love, you don't have to work a day in your life, that kind of thing, which I think isn't true because I think there's so much more effort and work you have to put into things you do. I also don't think Collider is a fair comparison to it's to just as an individual
but
YouTuber.
Hey, you know what? Even if I mention Collider, everybody there is getting paid from Collider.
Not much, though.
They happen to have YouTube also there. Yeah, not much, but it still goes, from there.
I think a lot of those have other jobs too, which if you're comparing top tier radio people to top tier YouTubers, it's much more fair than comparing Howard Stern to a Collider. There are YouTubers making $10 million.
And look at Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan to me would be somebody who's the most successful podcaster on YouTube.
Right.
And he'll make his stuff from there. But at the same time, Howard Stern happens to have he'll have more listeners and will make more money. Not to put down Joe Rogan, I think he's great. I listen to his stuff. I think it happens to be some of the best stuff on YouTube. Even with that, ultimately Howard, this is top tier, but ultimately Howard Stern, he's had a movie, he has this radio show, he's been on TV, he's had books, he's had multiple stuff to make revenue on, that not just the radio show. Right. But from doing the radio show and being professional broadcasters open up those doors as if, how many YouTubers high end are getting offers to do a television show, getting offered a big contract at a radio station to do your own talk show.
You mentioned like books and stuff, and you're bringing in like other revenue angles, and a lot of other YouTubers have that. Whether it's a clothing line or merch, depending on how they do it. It's a YouTube Red series, and like this new media kind of thing. This age where anyone can make their own content. I think it's the future of entertainment. It's these are. I don't think they have less money than big blockbuster movies, that we talk about, but I don't think they're any less legitimate, and they're sometimes more creative, sometimes more entertaining, sometimes better. And I don't think it's fair to take away from a young creator or an artist because you don't feel they're getting that money right now.
Well, to me, I don't think it's not taking away from the artist for getting money. It's just if I were in a position of having viewers, let's say on here, multiple, I would rather have a contract at SiriusXM than something that can crash and burn.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, it could with SiriusXM, but I have a guaranteed salary.
No, I get that.
That's pretty much
sure.
where I'm going. I understand the media. I understand media is changing, and people who have an old school mentality will have to adjust. It's not to put them down, because it's not to say their art's bad. It's that I do watch and listen to these other ones. But to me, when I do watch and listen, I notice a lack of certain, I can notice a lack of professionalism, whether even if they're trying their hardest, than if I'm listening to a professional broadcaster.
Sure. But maybe that's not necessarily what you want out of the entertainment art you consume. You might not want professionalism. You might want that level of honesty that you get on a one-to-one basis of just like another human.
Well, see, and not to bring up Howard, keep bringing him up, but
it's fine.
He's professional, but he has the honesty behind him.
Yeah, but even then, like, there's a level of character from just someone with a camera, and that's a raw, unique experience that you cannot necessarily get with someone who's on a bigger show. I agree with the job
listen, how
security
about
thing.
this? How about this?
I think,
you know what?
Okay.
Yeah, job security. That's a big thing for me. But
I get that for sure.
I am not like, and I'm going to use someone else as an example. I haven't heard anybody pull me in from, like, nobody on YouTube has done Shock the Puss. Nobody has used the shit fan. See, Bubba the Love Sponge, that's a guy who needs fucking, he's having hard times. He would be a professional broadcaster.
Okay, hold on. You have to explain what that is.
Oh my God. So listen, see, this is what I'm saying. This is when he, had his more sustained gig. He's going through shit now, but if you don't know him, you may know him from the Hulk Hogan sex tape scandal. Hulk Hogan happened to sleep with Bubba the Love Sponge's wife, and that was a sex tape that got out. But where I'm going with this is just ultimately when I watch these other YouTubers, yeah, they can put their heart and soul in it, but I just don't see anything like I have a guy like Bubba the Love Sponge who will get, hook up a shocker to, like a woman's vagina, or on the Howard Stern show, Sal and Richard put it on their balls and shock either the puss or balls. It's hilarious. And to me, that's where the honesty is and professionalism. He was professional. And I got to hear shock the puss and shock the balls and put shit in a fan and have it blow around. So if you want to hear the honesty, it's out there in professional media.
No, I don't disagree with that for sure. I'm just saying there's something about...
And to me, I haven't seen anything like that on YouTube.
I don't think
one
you're,
of the greatest
you're watching enough YouTube. I just don't think you're like...
but it needs to, even then, if that's on YouTube, I don't think it's conducted in like a professional way.
I also think professionalism isn't a standard that, at least me as a person who consumes entertainment, that's not what I'm looking for, is professionalism. Of course, on one hand,
but why watch somebody who's not that good and not that professional?
Well, not that good is something different. Not that good is something different.
Well, to me, then, I lump in professionalism with being good. If you're not to always say someone who's professional is good, but there's a certain standard you expect from somebody who is professional. Not to lump them into, they're two different things. However, I happen to have a segment of belief in there. If you're somebody who is professional, you tend to carry yourself in a certain way. If you're a professional, you're not going around and filming a corpse and thinking, oh yeah, that's good.
Okay, I think what's happening is that Logan Paul is tainting your image of
No. Let me say, I'm not even attacking the guy. Listen, okay, he's got his views, he's got his merchandising. He's cashing in on his stuff. I'll attack him, and I think he's a douchebag. Yeah, totally. But I think it's more so exploiting. I feel more so people, I mean, not everybody, but some people can exploit, their following.
Okay, I get that.
And it happens in professionalism also. It's just, you know what? Listen. We've almost gone for 2 hours.
It's all right.
And it's been fun and dandy. It's been good. However, I just feel like we're going to go down a rabbit hole of us kind of fundamentally disagreeing on what we think is, good entertainment at the point now. As with, for me, I like security, as if
I get that.
YouTube can crash and burn at any moment. There was
sure.
MySpace, there was Facebook, now there's Twitter. YouTube has been around for a while, but you never know what's around the corner.
Right.
As with, if I'm hot right now on YouTube, I would love to see if I had an offering at Sirius to have a
Sirius
income that
can
I know
crash
is
and
coming.
burn any minute too. I think
it could crash and burn, but as soon as I sign that contract, I know I'm getting what is mine. I mean, there's ways around that, but for the most part, if I conduct myself in a well manner, I do good for the company, represent them, even if they crash and burn. And even SiriusXM, people are saying they were going to crash and burn. They're still here.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. I think that that whole idea of job security is important as a career. But I think that's what's so admirable about YouTubers that make it, is when they branch out and have income outside of YouTube as a whole. Do you know who Philip DeFranco is on YouTube?
Nope.
One of the best.
You can ask me of people on YouTube. I don't know any of them.
One of the best. He talks on this subject a lot, and he talks about kind of what you're hitting on. It's like an independent news channel, and I think you'd probably dig it, actually. But he does talk on this idea that YouTube, you don't know what's going to happen, because there's a lot of stuff going on with like YouTube ad revenue, and it's being a little flaky, and people aren't getting the money that they should based on what they're talking about. And that's kind of like to your point, that it could crash and burn, and it's a little shaky. And he hits on this point, and he has outside revenue, Patreon, merchandise,
but even then, that's my point. Outside income of whether it be Patreon or their merchandise, that's not sustainable.
But that's what Howard Stern has. Say Howard Stern's Sirius.
He doesn't have a Patreon.
No. But outside revenue.
He doesn't have merchandising either.
A book, a movie.
But
same thing.
That is a lot different than, I think, a Patreon. If Howard Stern, a paid broadcaster, goes on the air and says, "Yo, guys, I need a Patreon to be able to put out this, content." It's a totally different ballpark.
What I'm just saying is, like, if
you wouldn't get into that with radio.
YouTube crashed and say Sirius crashed, both the successful YouTubers and both Howard Stern will be fine, because they both have a brand for themselves.
See, to me, they won't. They won't. They will crash and burn, and they will just be
who's like
a
both
product
like
of the
both
times.
Howard
People,
Stern and YouTubers.
No, YouTubers. I can guarantee you, 20 years from now, you can ask somebody who Logan Paul is. They're not going to know. Nor should they. However, like 20 years from now, ask anybody who Howard Stern is. There's going to be a lot of people who say no. There might be enough to say no now. However, to me, I come back to the income. He will have still the paychecks coming from that stuff. You won't still have paychecks coming from merchandising, whether it be putting out a T-shirt or a Patreon, because nobody's going to be there in 20 years.
I think I think both would be fine. Honestly, I think if YouTube crash and burn and Sirius crash and burn, both those creators would be fine. I think
you know why they wouldn't. You know why they wouldn't?
Vine.
Because a television network, Sirius can crash and burn right now, and to continue using him as an example, which is the minority. There's not a lot of Howard Sterns out there. He will have a television company or somebody else coming up right away to try to pick him up. YouTube crashes and burns. You're not going to see, somebody out offering a high gig TV position for like a Logan Paul.
Bo Burnham did it. Bo Burnham's a YouTuber. Just to
name
one name.
Bo Burnham, yeah, one guy.
Yeah,
who
but
happened to have a talent.
Yeah. I know.
But
that's also
even
one
Bo
guy
Burnham is not even in the same conversation as Howard Stern.
Why not?
If you look at just success, they're not even close.
I don't know. I beg to differ. I think they are. I think what Howard Stern has over him is just time and age because he's been around longer.
I disagree. You know, if you have a radio show, take it back to K-Rock days, and even way before K-Rock days, terrestrial radio, when you have like a 5-hour show with 15-minute commercials, to keep somebody listening, 10 million people listening on terrestrial radio, going through 15-minute commercials, being censored, Bo Burnham wouldn't be able to do that and keep 10 million because hardly anybody could have.
Yeah, but I don't think it's fair to say that he couldn't just because it's hard because you don't know. Like, neither do I. No one would know how someone else would do in that situation. Like I said,
I think you look at the past. There's only been a few to be able to hold an audience like that, and there weren't many.
Yeah, no, like I said before, I like what Howard Stern has done, especially with the censorship and that grind, is respectable. As much as I dislike his content, I think that is totally something to be respected, and I also think it is a 1 in a million situation. But I also don't know if it's like no one else could have done it. You know what? I don't even think that's it. Maybe he is the only one that could have done it. But
well, there's been people to hold in audiences, but it's been so rare. So to even consider Bo Burnham to be able to do that, I just look at history of, well, who else could? Well, if insert name here couldn't do it, why could Bo Burnham?
No. I totally get what you're saying. I just think
because once you when you have ratings that come up for radio, it's totally different than if you have views on YouTube. They're just held in such a different way. As one person could watch, listen to 1 second of a YouTube video, you still have that view there.
No, you don't pass 300 views. You have to have a certain amount of watch time. And watch time is a huge thing beyond views. It's different. Facebook, if you scroll past a Facebook video, it counts as a view because Facebook is fucking asinine. On YouTube, it's not like that. You have to watch X amount of time to count as a view over a certain amount of views. I believe, because that's how like all my YouTube channels have run. If I used to do this thing as a kid, I would refresh my browser to keep getting views, and then you'd hit a view mark and you can't get more views unless you watch over half the video or whatever. But you're right, it is not a fair comparison. Like ratings on a TV show or YouTube views or ratings on a radio show, they all are different analytics.
Take any of these YouTuber guys. There's only a few that would be able to hold an audience with commercial ad time is so ads on YouTube.
Ads are dead. Ads are dead though. Like Howard Stern when he held what you were saying 15-minute ad spots. Like was that like I don't?
Or radio stations would. It's not so much that the person would. It's that the radio station would. What I'm saying, yeah, it can be dead now. But if you put any of these guys back in the time when it was a thing, they wouldn't be able to hold an audience because quite honestly, not a lot of them are interesting. Some are, some are. But most aren't.
I think
I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest. I'm getting a headache from this conversation. Getting nausea from this fucking conversation because it can go over. It's got to end sometime. And I'm sure if you've listened to this far, you're probably like, shut the fuck up about this already. Not because I disagree or not, but ultimately to go back to where we got and why we started this.
I don't remember that. Yeah,
we were talking about We were talking about The Last Jedi and Rian Johnson with his trilogy, and we were talking about the audience scores for that.
Oh,
we got into audience scores versus critic
scores. We never
scores.
talked about Cinema Score. Damn it, I wanted to talk about Cinema Score.
You know what? I got to be honest. I think we've went a bit too long here. So
this isn't even our longest episode.
It's not, but I don't think we should make it longest. You know why? Because I have some food waiting for me, and it's gonna be cold now.
Okay.
And I want to get to it.
Let's just cool it down for a little bit,
so
and then we're
gonna
close
come
it off.
down. Yeah, I'll say with audience, the thing is, I'm not discouraging fans to have opinions because I was first and foremost a fan, as every critic was. I just look at a street musician is not the Beatles. As good as you are, you're not the Beatles. As good as you are, you're not Jimmy Page. And, if you can be a good, shit talker on the corner, you're still not, king shit that, in a critic review place. Now, you can still have you should have discussions. You should, but also when you have the discussions, just know film is subjective. If somebody disagrees with you, you don't have to feel insecure and start, hating on insert name here.
Whew. Okay. I think I can't even tell if I agree or don't agree anymore. We've hit too much shit that I'm like, wait, what are we talking about? Do I agree with that? Where are we? Yeah. I think
You know
you
what?
can
I'm
say
gonna
whatever
do
you
us a
want
favor.
about whatever.
I'm gonna do us a favor. I'm gonna do us a favor, not to cut you off, and you can be mad for this, but we're not gonna talk about this. You know why? Because we have some other stuff we get. I'm gonna mention one last thing, and you can just
I got sweaty
mention
pits.
something.
I don't usually get sweaty pits when we record, but I got sweaty pits.
Yeah, because fucking going crazy over here. Alec Baldwin was cast as Thomas Wayne.
Oh my god,
in
there
the
was
Joker
so much
movie,
shit we didn't talk
and
about.
2 days later, he stepped down from the role. Said 25 actors could play this. To me,
Is that what he said?
I don't think. Yeah, he said there's 25 other guys who could play this role. Sure, I guess so. However, I think he left because he doesn't want to take the shit that he realized would have, he would have been under fucking scrutiny. I think Alec Baldwin is in a place in his career where he doesn't want to have, some jackass say, well, this is a fucking bad decision, because what was said was somebody came out and said, oh yeah, he's going to play Thomas Wayne in the Joker movie, and he's going to be like a Donald Trump-esque businessman from the 80s. Now, maybe people thought of Donald Trump of today, businessman, two different guys, you could say. I was all for it. I was really excited for this. Kind of bummed me out that he's not there now, but he's not. I happen to think it was, you sign on and then say, oh yeah, I had to leave because of scheduling, and 25 other guys could do this 2 days later. I think he just realized how much scrutiny he would have been under being involved with this, and he said, you know what, I'm in a place in my career where I don't need this, and maybe he was trying to get away from the Donald Trump stuff. So yeah, that bummed me out. Yeah, what do you think?
I was excited for that. We talked about it a little bit, and I was a little excited about it. It's interesting that you talk about that fear. That's depressing. If that is what it is, yeah, I don't know. He doesn't need it for his career. He doesn't have to. If he thinks there is like that level of backlash to it, he doesn't have to do it. He's fine either way. It's kind of shitty. Yeah. It was what was weird about this was that it was announced, and then like a day or two later, it was announced that he's leaving.
Yeah,
that was weird because we when it was announced, we're like, all right, we're gonna talk about that on the next show. And before the next show even came around, he's like, I'm not doing it. That was weird.
Yeah, it was. It sucks. I think he would have been honestly, I think he would have been a perfect fit. I think Alec Baldwin is great, and I think it's a shame. I seen a photo of Joaquin Phoenix, and he was looking mighty thin. It was a recent one. They're gonna start filming it in like a week or so. Maybe they're getting ready to film sooner, but yeah, it's about to film. I seen Joaquin Phoenix, and he definitely looks the part.
Yeah, he lose some weight that's for why, the role, you think?
Yeah, a lot of weight. He's looking quite thin, and but ultimately, I'm still intrigued, very much so, because of Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, exactly. I think like we're both like riding that Joaquin high.
Yeah.
You know what, Ben?
Yeah.
Speaking of Ben, you know what I want? I want Ben Affleck to just leave Hollywood and just be happy. I feel bad. I feel so bad for Ben Affleck. Just the whole Joker thing reminded me of him and because Batman, of course, and his rehab thing. I feel so bad for the guy. I just want him, go through rehab, get better, and then just leave Hollywood and be happy. Don't worry about Batman. Just do your thing. Everything's fine. Everything's okay.
I gotta tell you, my mind is on the hot pizza that is now cold waiting for me.
Cold pizza is still good pizza.
Wow. Oh, I hate cold pizza.
Really?
I hate it. I hate cold pizza. It needs to be hot.
Okay.
Out of the oven.
Do you microwave pizza, like old leftover pizza?
No, I hate it. I hate microwave pizza. It just turns into cardboard.
Do you ever put it in the oven? Like bake it? Do that. I recommend that.
Oh, okay. I'll try that. You know what? Ben Affleck. This is something that can open up a huge other hour.
I just wanted to end it on a note of let's just.
Yeah. I'll say my thoughts on Ben Affleck. Yeah. Going back into rehab, checking back in. I love me some Ben Affleck. I hope he's happy. I hope it works out for him. If not for him, for his kids also. because
of course, yeah,
he wants to. Yeah. I think it's very good. What was funny but a shame to see is going on to certain segments of fandom is when you can't detach yourself from being a fan to the product, of a consumer. And with this happening, then you see people say, oh, well, now the Batman is going to be delayed because of Ben. Listen, I love Ben Affleck as Batman. What he did, I loved. And this is a Ben Affleck thing, not a Batman thing. But to the people who went to it, they're going to have to wake up and realize Ben Affleck's not the Batman anymore.
Right, for
sure. It may not have been announced he's not. And, you see people that say, oh, he's going to get a producer credit on the Batman. He's involved. He's not involved. Producer credits mean nothing. Right. If he gets one, it's because he put the time in to develop a Batman movie that Warner Brothers decided not to go with. This is Matt Reeves' Batman. Ben Affleck's no longer Batman. It's time to move on. And not to think, oh, well, now the Batman's delayed because, Ben Affleck going into rehab. And as someone who loved Ben Affleck as the Batman, it's just, it's over. It's over. Would have loved to see a standalone Batman movie, but at the same time, as a consumer, you shouldn't put your product over someone else's, let's say, health. So it's good. He's back there. Yeah, which I know it was announced he's doing a movie. I forget what it was about. He was going to do one with Matt Damon. He was going to direct it. It was interesting, but maybe we'll talk about that next time to recap. But yeah. Hopefully he gets better.
Yeah, I just feel bad. I would like to see that. I feel like he's just trying so hard to please, but it's just he just has to let go and you know what? Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. Just forget people yelling online. Just go do what you want. And everything will be okay, kind of thing.
Whoa!
My mic just fell onto my lap. My mic just fell on my lap. My fucking headphones pulled my mic out. Pulled my mic onto my lap. Did it make a funny noise?
Oh, yeah, you could hear it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was hearing.
Spooky, a little jump scare?
You know what I'll say? We were going to talk about the First Man, Second trailer and Bad Time or Times at El Royale. I think Bad Times at El Royale looks awesome.
Yeah, I think it looks
Drew
good.
Goddard. Looks awesome. I can't wait to see that. First Man, I'm excited because of Gosling and Damien Chazelle. However, the trailers look good. They look good, but they pretty much give you everything.
I was disappointed about that.
I don't have to see it because I've seen it all. And plus, if the history, whether you think it's fake news or not,
Oh God, let's not get into that.
How about this? I'll leave you with a question.
Okay.
And I'm gonna shut up. And I'm actually gonna. I'm not sure if people heard the last one because I know YouTube there was technical difficulties with the upload.
Ooh, for our last
podcast. Yeah.
It got cut short, right? Was that last episode?
Yeah, that was last.
I think most of our podcast listeners are on iTunes and whatnot.
Okay, so then you would have heard this. So I'll hold true to this. I'm gonna leave you with a question, and then I'm gonna shut up. I just want you to answer it.
We never did our what we learned.
Oh, okay. You know what? do you want? We've learned too much. My head's gonna explode.
Okay.
I'm going crazy over here. You know what we've learned? We've learned Ant-Man and the Wasp is now past.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
It had a huge opening in China.
What one do you like more? I don't remember. What Ant-Man did you like more?
I need to see Ant-Man and the Wasp a second time, but I think I might put that one slightly over.
Oh, okay, interesting. Okay.
But I've had time with Ant-Man. I need to see Ant-Man and the Wasp a second time. I've only seen it once.
Okay.
I think maybe that one more. I got to see it again. Crazy Rich Asians. Was fucking crazy rich at the box office.
I love that. It's funny.
I don't even know what the hell fucking we talked about Star Wars. We talked about casting. Yeah, and we both think the Ryan trilogy is gonna happen.
Right.
We both think so. And you know what? I'm pretty confident. Because they've announced that.
Yeah. We talked about being dicks online is not cool.
We talked about being dicks online, and then I think we just the chains came off.
Something
and
about
we just went
Howard
everywhere.
Stern being handsome or something like that. That's what I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
You know what, Ben? You know what we learned? You know what?
What we learned?
This 2-hour show, the thing we learned the most.
Jesus. I'm thinking of pizza right now, and I want to get out of here.
Okay, I'm gonna say it before you get your pizza. What we learned this episode is that you can have polarizing opinions on no matter what topic, and you can still be friends.
Oh, exactly.
You know that, right? Like we had like completely different opinions on some things. Some things we agreed on, of course, which is par for the course. But you don't have to get up in everyone's throats and slit their throats and kill their families and flip tables
because you didn't. Yeah,
like. I threw one table this whole conversation. One table. And
that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. But that's all.
But you know what else we learned?
That Ben wants pizza.
Outraged.
Oh, yeah.
I want pizza, but people are outraged that fucking Insomniac took away a puddle from Spider-Man PS4. I can't wait to play that. That's next week.
Dude, we never I wanted to hear about Upgrade. Should we wait till next week? It depends. Look, it's all up to you what you want to keep going. Like, I'll give you a teaser. So.
I'll give you a teaser.
Yeah.
I thought, from what I heard of this film, it was generic in the sense of it follows a lot of beats that most of these films would. Not much original in it, in my opinion, until you get to the last 15 minutes, which is what makes the movie unique.
Huh.
I think it's a solid film. It is a good one.
I should watch it then, right?
You should watch it. It is good. It is very good. But it's very predictable, plays into a lot of things that you would have seen in this type of film, and to the fact that when hearing a lot of stuff before seeing it, of how it didn't seem as original. However, there is I feel like an original take in the last 15 minutes. I feel like I've seen that movie a bunch of times except for the last 15 minutes.
Interesting.
However, I did enjoy it. I thought it was a good film.
Cool. I completely forgot about it, and then you mentioned it, and I want to see that. Shit, I've been wanting to see that for a while. You rented it on Google Play, I assume?
I did not. I'm still upset with Google Play because Avengers.
Right, the Avengers.
I did it on Xbox, the Xbox Marketplace. I was looking at movies I had to catch up on, and I seen that. I was like, oh yeah, Upgrade. Nice. Let me watch that. So,
alrighty.
My goodness.
I gotta go shower.
I need to shower after this one. And hopefully, if you're listening, and if you have listened to this one, if you're this far, God bless you. Hopefully you have heard, a good upgrade, because I'm working with some new equipment here, which made it fun. Yeah. But
this should be our best sounding episode, but we'll see.
Hopefully, one would hope. I gotta say, I don't know, because a lot of my points, I do, they're my points, I believe in them, but I don't know how much of it was to be argumentative, and to that I'm confused.
All right, what I said. What do you mean?
Because so much was said that I don't remember what I said.
My cat just meowed because he doesn't know. He's upset with me.
Anyways,
no.
I don't know what I said. We went on.
I don't think
whatever I said. I think I believe.
I think. You think you believe what you said?
I feel like I was slightly being argumentative for entertainment's sake.
I didn't think it was that bad. I think I understood where you're coming from. I understand a little bit more of what you were going with. I think you were fine. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
I'm not worried. I'm just thinking of pizza. When we got to an hour, I was thinking about pizza.
An hour, wow. Yeah, we usually like to do an hour. We've doubled our runtime for this episode.
Jesus, yeah. Oh my. Oh. Wow. It's almost 6.
I know.
At the time of us recording this.
Jesus.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna ask you a question, and I'm gonna stop recording. So, I botched it last week. I'm gonna do this.
Oh yeah. All right.
First Man's coming out in October.
Yeah.
And it's the story of Neil Armstrong going to the moon landing. There's a segment of people that happen to, and there's a segment of people that like to think the Earth is flat. I'm not going to ask you that question.
Good.
Do you think, unless you want to address that, do you think that Neil Armstrong, the moon landing, was fake news, and do you think Stanley Kubrick filmed it on a soundstage? And good night, good morning, good afternoon. See you later.
Oh my god. No, I don't think it's fake. But I wish Stanley Kubrick had directed it. Fuck. It would have been sick. Jack Nicholson could have been there, swinging axes and shit. It would have been far more entertaining had it been a Stanley Kubrick film. But it wasn't. It was real. That's just science, bitch. All right, bye.